Canadian breakfast stout. So good, I might just forget the sounds of what I think are mice crawling in my walls behind me. Welcome to Burning Books. I'm Caleb, and I want to help you love video games even more. Today, I'm doing that by continuing my journey to read and review all of the Boss Fight Books releases. Now, it's been a few months, but a long road trip over the holiday weekend has allowed me to jump back into the stack of remaining Boss Fight Books releases. I've reviewed 10, I think, so far. Check the link in the description below for a playlist, and be sure to subscribe to stay updated as I upload new review videos. Today, I'm talking about Spelunky by Derek Yu, a book named for the game that the author developed. That's just kind of a convoluted way of saying that this book is written entirely by the Subject Games creator. This is a first for the Boss Fight Books series, and this book is so good. It makes me want to suggest that Boss Fight Books create an imprint entirely dedicated to books authored by the developers of the Subject Games. But I wouldn't dare suggest such a thing, because doing so would imply that Derek Yu's simultaneous gifts for documenting, storytelling, and game making operate as a Venn diagram with overlap enough to mean Boss Fight Books could even fill out an imprint. Selfishly, I kind of want to believe that this book is unique, and that I happened upon a secret game dev journal that just magically spoke to me. Yes, I'm selfish. I want to feel uniquely mentored by Derek Yu, because this book is something special. Okay, I've got to back up. What's going on with the book Spelunky by Derek Yu? It's basically an overview of Spelunky's development, as told by Derek Yu, one of the game's creators. The book starts by introducing the reader to Spelunky's genre, the roguelike genre, a video game genre defined by procedurally generated levels and permadeath. Now, this is a great way to introduce the book to the reader, because this is often how most games are introduced to prospective players. What kind of game is it? Well, let me tell you, that sort of thing. Yu then digs into a brief history of the roguelike genre. Then he provides his history as an indie game developer, never pretending he's more accredited or well-known than he is. He discusses his relatively brief tenure as a developer prior to Spelunky, having created just 2 commercial games prior. He's always commenting on the people in the game dev forums that helped him along the way. He name drops, but almost always as a way to say thank you. In a word, Derek Yu seems really, really nice. But that's not why this book is magical. Yu approaches the book as a reflective, life lesson sort of book, confidently offering witticisms that would be far too clever if not for the real-world stories he has to support the idioms. A closer target is easier to aim for. Only works after hearing about Yu and his development partners experiencing aggressive deadlines when developing Spelunky for the Xbox Live Arcade back in 2012. When Yu talks about the need to accept feedback from players, he's not speaking as an ideologue trying to push you, the reader, into a way of growth that he has not personally experienced. No, he talks about feedback because he truly wants to convey how important it is for creators to be open to outside influence. During a section on Spelunky's damsel character, the helpless woman archetype that the player must rescue in order to regain health, Yu pulls quotes from actual criticism he's received. But he doesn't fight against it. Never, in fact. He instead welcomes the criticism as an opportunity to better understand his games and the players they serve. This allows for another example where he gets away with another almost too clever witticism. It's not obvious you're breathing stale air until you step outside. If you weren't a game developer, he'd be a therapist or a philosopher, and I'd be the first in line to adopt his ideas or lay on his office couch. Would. For real. It's possible this book resonated with me so much because I just recently started learning a new game engine, Construct 3. This is after attempts and mild successes with Unity 3D and Game Maker Studio. I go in waves, pecking at game development every few months. Construct 3 is my flavor of the month. Now, Yu's book is just what I needed, and I think it should be required reading for hobbyists and independent game devs. It's not a how-to book, but more of a theory book with some kind of how-to examples peppered throughout. Just as much as we get philosophical asides like those mentioned earlier, we also get a rundown of how the randomized level generator works. And it's awesome, by the way. If you read only one part of this book, but why would you read just one part? Read the level generator section. I know that sounds really boring, but it's really interesting. And just as we see Yu opening up to criticism of the game's unintentional sexism, we see him open up to the many unexpected wonders that his game's simple rule set allows. There's a cool story of a player who noticed an enemy character walking into a shop. Now in Spelunky, player characters are able to steal from shops, and when they do, shopkeepers go on a vengeance-filled murder spree, one which the player often does not escape from. Now the player in this anecdote knew that the enemy characters operate under the same rule set as the player characters, so when he saw the enemy approach the shop, he knew to take cover. Because sure enough, the shopkeeper went mad when the enemy stole an item and retaliated with wild shotgun blasts. After the carnage subsided, the player was able to walk into the shop and take the items from the dead corpses. Now this wasn't a scripted event. This was the result of a rule set so beautifully designed that cool events like this can just happen. I love it. Spelunky by Derek Yu is, I think, my new favorite boss fight books release. I highly recommend you read it, and I highly recommend you watch the rest of my boss fight books reviews. Just click the playlist link in the description below to watch them all. And while you're down there, click the subscribe button.